What's our intro?
It's something random every time. It might be this right now.
Do we need to be consistent?
I don't think so.
Okay. Welcome.
Hello. Welcome back to First Draft Films from Indie to Hollywood, or whatever we end up calling it.
Still a working title.
Today, you will be sort of a fly on the wall as you watch us put together a
something.
We're going to put together a something, and it's related to what we're going to film next year.
Let's just briefly talk about what we are currently planning to film next year.
Yeah.
And then go into this
something.
So we have two short films planned for this upcoming 2023 season. Holy cow. Two short films. One of them is a comedy horror film called Vicious Vacuum, which a lot of you know about already.
Mm-hmm.
We had some delays this year due to location, but that is one of our top priorities this upcoming summer.
Yes, we will likely be filming in July.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be putting out, casting notices and whatnot when the time is right. The second one is another one that we've been bouncing the name of around a lot. The Once Upon a Dance Project. It is a 3-part short film, or 3 short films that continue the same story. The one that I am personally most excited for is that one because, oh man, there's just so much that we're not going to go into at this point because that's not the point of this podcast. At some point, we'll probably do an episode about that particular short film, and then that'll be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But today's not the day for that. But it involves dance of various styles, and it tells a story involving different dimensions and different worlds. So,
very interesting.
yes. And I think you guys are going to love it.
But now for this something. We have decided to add another short film to our list of projects for the upcoming year. But we don't know what it's going to be yet. Mm-hmm. We are going to brainstorm that here right now with you. We gave ourselves a few guidelines, just to help the creative process.
One of the ideas we had was that it would be not a silent film, but a film that contains no dialogue.
That's right.
But we could still record ambient sounds and cars driving by or
distant discussions, music
that are inaudible, music, atmosphere.
Just really have like a
foley,
soundscape for it rather than focus on dialogue. The other guideline for us is that it has to be a mystery.
Yeah.
Mystery.
So that's what we have so far.
Mm-hmm. Man, now I'm just thinking about most of our brainstorming we do in the car as we're driving to various places, and now it's we're not in a car. I don't know what to do.
It's too much focus.
ADHD.
I think it should be about one person, mainly about one person, because that will lead naturally into having no dialogue.
Yeah. Male or female?
I'm thinking female.
Okay, let's give her a name.
Isabel?
Sure.
Also, before we get too far into this, Doomed Productions, we are aware that we are sort of copying what you did, but that was not intentional. I was
not aware.
Well, yeah. The idea was brought to our attention that we should sort of do a podcast on a brainstorming session. We're like, cool, let's do it. And so that's today. And we are aware you already did this, sort of. So we're not literally trying to copy you. But I think it's cool that we are because you imitate greatness, right? So here we are.
Isabel is... Oh, we could get really cliche with this. She's a private investigator.
No!
I don't want to do that. That's complicated. No. What does she do? Where does she work? What are her hobbies? Does she have friends? Does she live with anyone?
I almost wanted to say she's a barista, but we've already done that 2 times, so we're not going to do it again. We also realize that this story has very similar themes or restrictions to our Palm Springs of Washington short film, which we made summer of 21, because that also contained not as much dialogue as we typically do. and it was focused on the sounds of the environment and so on. So,
So this has to be completely different. Ooh,
Yes.
ooh. What if she starts out just like stranded in the desert?
stranded in the desert, cool. We can go like swap timelines around. Like
Ooh,
that can be the end. She ends stranded in the desert, and then we find out how she got there. Although I feel like that's been done.
It's been done a lot, but
lot.
that's not to say we can't do it.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's write it down. It's a
Okay.
brainstorming moment. I don't know. And if we film this in late spring, we don't have to deal with snow.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to film it anytime soon. There's too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
Isabel is stranded in the desert. How did she get to the desert? Did she have a broken down car?
That's a possibility.
Was she running away from somebody?
Ooh. I like that one. We should write that one down.
That ends on a note of suspense. Did they catch her because her car broke down?
What if she was just running? What if there was no car? What if she just wakes up in the desert?
So if she's the main character but not the only character, who are the other characters? Somebody who's chasing her.
Mm-hmm. The question is, what do they want? I feel like that will shape their whole character.
And her whole character.
Mm-hmm. Do they want to kill her? Do they want money? What drives them? Is this revenge?
I was going to say we could make it something really dumb, but I don't want to do that. I want this to actually be a serious short film.
Sure.
Something like somebody's Netflix. No. We're already ripping off too many people tonight. We're not going to rip you off too, Kyle.
I love that movie. I
Oh
love
my
it
gosh.
so much.
So good.
Okay. What time period does this take place? Modern day?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are modern day reasons why someone would be running away and or somehow stranded in the desert?
Oh man, something kind of controversial and dark popped into my head.
What?
What if the feds are after her?
Ooh.
Or they're after her family and they told her just like get out of here and run
Oh.
and like leave your phone so you can't be tracked?
Okay.
If we
Write
have,
that down.
If we have, what if the feds are after her and her family told her to run? Okay. That could be, if we're going to actually show people like busting down doors, that would be complicated.
Not necessarily. There are either ways around it or ways we can show it without problems.
Demolishing houses.
Yeah. That
Don't
too.
have the budget for that yet.
No. So why is the FBI after her? What did she do?
What are reasons that the FBI is after people? We don't want this to be political. That's not the point of it. It's supposed to be a mystery.
Ooh, what if it's not the real FBI?
Oh.
What if it's like gang affiliated or something of that nature? Like they're pretending to be the FBI.
We could definitely tie in gang stuff if we wanted.
Okay, so this gang is pretending to be the FBI and chasing Isabel. Why? Well,
What if she filmed them doing something?
maybe.
But that would be like too obvious though.
I feel like it's got to be bigger, deeper.
Ooh. What if they're really petty and she just broke up with one of their cousins?
That's getting into the silly.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Ooh. But what if she broke up with them, but also stole something she didn't know was like special? And maybe it's not a gang. Maybe it's just like a really rich family or something like that. Maybe it's not like a gang that we know in Yakima. Like maybe her boyfriend gave her some necklace that she didn't know was a family heirloom and she didn't give it back when they broke up. And now they're after her for this necklace, but she doesn't know why. They're just like after her.
Well, normal people would be like, hey, can we have that back? That's a precious thing. So, like, why would they be being weird about it?
Yeah, you got a good point.
Well, that's something we can build into them. I'm not saying that that's a reason not to do it.
Well, yeah, but
Although
if we're
it could
gonna
be a reason not to do it.
if we're going with like a serious modern mystery, I feel like we should keep it like at least the motivation's somewhat realistic.
Okay.
Like not, I feel like that would just be kind of a stupid reason.
Fair.
You know, like they just didn't ask for it back and it's so important they're chasing her. Like,
Or what if it was like a hard drive that he just, I don't know, something that had something like a hard drive or a password to something that contained sensitive information, but he didn't know about it? Because if he's like a cousin or something, he's not really, I mean,
ooh, maybe like, yeah, his uncle gave him some flash drive or whatever, maybe a game or a game console and like hid information in it and he didn't know and he gave it to his girlfriend, but they broke up and he's just like, whatever, we'll just buy another one. But his uncle's like, no, you need to get that back. And he's like, well, I don't want to ever talk to her again. And so his uncle's like, well, guess we got to do it or something like that.
well, I just thought of something. What if she's either a filmmaker or a photographer or something to where she uses SD cards?
Oh.
And you know how SD cards, like we found out, like if you just delete what's on them and then take them out, like it magically pops up again.
Yeah.
So something like where they thought they cleared sensitive information off and they actually didn't. But she's
Oh.
never actually gone prying, so she has no clue. She's just like, oh, I'm just like taking photos and like I haven't had to upload anything.
So if we should give them a name. Just so we're not saying they.
The O'Hannons.
Okay, bring your family into this.
Not my family.
Well,
O'Hanrahan. No, that's
are they Irish? Are we dealing with an Irish gang?
I don't know. It's just a name. There's tons of people of Irish ancestry in America.
The Smiths. We'll start generic and then we can come up with a better name later. So the Smith gang. That sounds awful. The Smith gang. Okay.
That just makes me think of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the movie. So I don't know about that.
Well, that's not their permanent name. I just don't want to keep calling them they or O'Hanalagan.
I know. So we'll refer to them currently as the Smiths. We'll probably make it something like, I don't know, more
Something
interesting
cool,
later.
at least. So, the Smith family thought they erased this SD card. They would have to find out somehow that they didn't before they go after Isabel.
We're supposed to communicate all this without talking.
That's hard.
We can't do it.
Maybe we simplify it. Maybe she like legitimately stole something from them because A, revenge on her horrible boyfriend, maybe, I don't know. Or B, or combination of A and B is these are horrible people and they need to go to prison or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like she wants to turn them in.
Or maybe she's also a horrible person, but just less so horrible, and she's just really petty. And part of her journey is like becoming not a horrible person. But she starts out as like really bratty and unlikable. But then like through the experience, like I'm about to die. Maybe I should rethink my entire life. That sounds likely. Or maybe just cliche.
It's worth writing down for sure. We should do this more often because most of the time we don't write things down and we forget a lot of things. Because we're in the car, usually. So we have the potential, at least. We have the why
Yeah.
of the mystery.
Maybe they're not even posing as the FBI. They just like she just starts seeing like white vans everywhere or something. Where do we get white vans?
We don't need white vans. We just need cars.
Yeah. Like
Just cars following her. Maybe she starts going paranoid or thinks she's going paranoid.
they track her for a few days to figure out her habits.
Yep.
What
Maybe
time she
weeks.
gets off work.
Okay, so do we open with her in a desert and then go back in time and tell the story? Or does it end in the desert? Or does it start in the desert for a different reason?
That would be like an interesting bookend type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Ooh. She's into botany. She's like looking at the little wildflowers, so that'd be perfect for filming in spring.
Yeah. I love that.
Like she's got magnifying glasses and she's like pressing flowers in books and stuff.
Oh, she sounds so sweet. Feel bad for getting her involved in all this stuff.
No, she's not sweet. She's a jerk, remember?
Why
because
is she a jerk?
just because she likes flowers doesn't mean she's a good person.
I just can't imagine a jerk like going to all that trouble for flowers.
No, what I can't imagine is like she's so absorbed in this thing that like if anybody is there, like she can't have anybody there because like if somebody says like one thing that she'll be like, "Hey, you're distracting me." Like, and she's like so obsessed over, maybe it's a hobby, maybe like she's in like a nature, like actual like nature, like nature studyist is what I was going to say, but that doesn't mean anything. You know
An
what I mean?
actual
though?
botanist.
An actual botanist. Maybe she's an actual botanist, or maybe it's just a hobby. I feel like it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, she's super obsessed with it. And then she photographs the flowers. And that's why she needs the SD card. What if she finds out what's on the, like, we see her out in the desert and she's taking her pictures, and then she goes back and then she uploads the thing and she finds like all this horrible stuff on the SD card.
And then she holds it over the what are they? The Smiths heads and is like, okay, you give me a bunch of money and I'll erase this data.
And they just decide no.
Or maybe they're like, okay, yeah, we'll pay it. But then she's like, oh, well, actually, it's doubled now. Or, you know, like she really plays it, and then that gets her in trouble.
We could have them sending messages instead of... Okay. I feel like we should start doing an actual outline of sorts at this point.
Yeah. What did the Doomed guys call it?
A beat sheet, but I don't
Yeah.
remember enough about that to do it properly at this moment. Sorry. We're just assuming that everybody's going to be watching this, and we're like talking to them as...
I mean, why not?
I guess so.
If there's even one person, we're talking to you.
So if things are going on for weeks and weeks, it wouldn't make sense that unless she's been being followed for a while. Because otherwise, if she was like, hey, I have this information, they would like just get her immediately versus waiting around for her to just give it to the police.
Right. But why would they be following her prior to that?
Because they knew she had the SD card.
But they thought they erased it?
Well, is there a more subtle way that we can show, like, that they find out?
Well, maybe they just didn't think they erased it. Maybe they're like counting all their SD cards and they're like, we're missing one, and the cousin or nephew or whatever is like, oh,
I gave it to Isabel.
yeah. She's a photographer.
Because he's a blabbermouth.
Yeah. Still complicated without dialogue, but not too complicated, I don't think, at least. Yeah, so he's like, oh, I gave it to Isabel. And the uncle's like, well, let's just wait and see. No need to like do anything rash. So he is like sending people after her and to like watch her and make sure she doesn't like go to the cops or anything like that. And then after like a week or so, he's like, okay, well, maybe she just doesn't know. Maybe she doesn't have it. Just go ask for it back. I don't know.
So if she blackmails them, then they've been already like suspicious for a while, sort of.
Or the cousin nephew can be like, oh, I wiped it before I gave it to her. It's fine. But the uncle's like still suspicious. So he sends his people to follow her and watch her. And at some point, I don't know, I guess he doesn't call it off or anything. She, you know, starts to blackmail them. And then he's like, okay, time to deal with this.
We didn't go into why she's a horrible person, though. Or not necessarily horrible, but like not nice person.
Why she would blackmail them. Yeah. I mean, it could simply be something along the lines of greed. Like she knows they have money and she knows she can get it from them. And then maybe she's going to go to the police or something. Or revenge against her boyfriend. Maybe she didn't break up with him. Maybe he broke up with her. Maybe he cheated on her. And then she finds this information and she's like, oh, this could be important. And even if it's not, I'm going to pretend it is and be like, hey, I have this sensitive information. I'm going to go to the cops if you don't give me money.
And what if it turns out to not be sensitive information, but because they're sus, they think that, oh my gosh, she's got the pictures of the bodies. And then she actually doesn't. It's something innocuous like a birth certificate. And because they're evil, you know, they're paranoid. Like the
or
wicked
what
don't
if we
sleep
never
well at
find
night.
out what's actually on the SD card?
I think that's delightful. Oh my gosh, you're genius.
Thank you. Yeah, we can like see her looking at her computer and being like, oh, what's this?
We can like show her clicking on folders with various names.
And then coming to one and just being like, and then typing out an email and being like, I'm gonna blackmail you guys because I have information.
And what if the actual FBI gets involved because they're like like, you know, government creepy spy. I feel like that's getting into the realm of too silly, though.
Maybe.
But then the actual FBI shows up and like starts kicking in everybody's door. So that everybody runs out into the desert? No. Too silly.
Save that for comedy.
I started doing an outline and then we started doing more background general stuff.
Yeah. Okay. What do you have for the outline?
Isabel is photographing wildflowers in the hills. She returns home and begins uploading her photos. She discovers some mysterious folders on the SD card, and the folders contain horrible information about her ex's family. She blackmails them with the information. They know she has the card already, and they've been watching her to make sure recently. That was not a good sentence. The ex says, I wiped the card, no worries, but she's still being watched.
Okay. In the beginning, we could see her like being followed on her way home from the desert.
Okay.
And like maybe she doesn't even notice. Maybe it's just like the same black car following her from approximately the desert all the way back to like the block she lives. And she doesn't consciously notice, you know? Or maybe she does.
It's like a little spoiler alert or like foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's a car. Oh, it's a car. So what? Well, it's actually a car that's following her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wildflowers in the hills. Cars are following her.
Okay. How long of a short film do we want this to be? 10 minutes or 30 minutes? Because we could expand right there. You know, she gets home. Maybe she doesn't look at the SD card right away. Maybe she just drops her camera, does her evening thing, goes to work, gets followed again. So we see the same like black car.
I like it.
And there's a lot of room to expand in that area. And then eventually the next point is she looks at the SD card and finds that and then starts the blackmail. And that's when the rising action and climax happen. Actually, what is the climax?
I was wondering about that too. When she finds out, or when they maybe start chasing her.
No. Like the final turning point, essentially. She finds out. She starts blackmailing them. They come kicking her door. She's not there. She knows. She knows their process. She's somewhere safe. They go on this manhunt for her. She goes on the run. But then she's like, oh no, I'm in too far over my head. I should go to the cops. But then maybe like she goes to the police, but then they're waiting for her at the police station and they kidnap her, take her out to the desert, and they're like threatening to shoot her or something if she doesn't give them the card. And like that would be the climax, is like, does she die or does she give them the card, or what happens there?
Ooh. They just dump her in the desert and drive off.
Maybe.
That's anticlimactic, though.
Yeah.
So do we see the perspective of the Smiths, or does it focus solely on her? Do we see them getting the emails and freaking out?
Potentially. We could go full third person with this.
Okay.
That could be really fun to explore both sides' reactions.
Then does she leave home because she knows that they'll...
Yeah, maybe like as they're reading the emails, we can cut back and forth between like them reacting and her packing and like getting ready to go. Heck, maybe she hates her life and like wants an out.
Yeah, that would make sense. She just wants adventure in some way.
Yeah, in this messed up blackmail kind of way.
So she escapes at the back door because she like looks out and sees a car or something.
The same black car, yeah.
She finds out that she's been being followed. Being stalked, and leaves out the back door in a different car or something.
Maybe she just walks. Maybe she lives like out Terrace Heights area. She just walks up the hill.
The Smiths send their folks to break down the door, but she's gone. Ooh, we could even film it in a way where we don't see that she's left, and we see like the guys getting out of the door and like loading their guns and like...
I like that.
Yeah. And then they're like running through the house and there's nobody there.
Adds to the
If she's a jerk, she would like leave some cocky note like, ha ha ha. Yeah.
Well, it depends on how cocky of a jerk she is.
Yeah.
There also ought to be some kind of at least minimal scene of her planning this, because I don't think this would be a spontaneous like, oh, I found this, I can blackmail them, I'm going to type up this email right now. I feel like she would have planned. In that case, she wouldn't be just walking up a hill. She would have some kind of backup transportation. Where would she go, though, is the question. To a friend's house? To a safe house? To the desert?
Somewhere she thinks is a safe house, but maybe isn't. She's like, oh, they would never guess I would go to my best friend's house. But of course...
That's stupid.
I know.
But something
to where they would know where she was and they would follow
Mhm.
her.
Maybe she left her phone tracking on. She hooked up to the Wi-Fi.
The Smiths track her through her phone. She sees the same cars and begins to panic. She makes her way to the police station, but the Smiths are waiting. They'd be pretty ballsy to literally kidnap somebody in a police station, like right in front of a police station. How are we gonna film this? We have connections. Never mind. We'll be fine.
Yeah. I think the better question is... Well, I think I just answered my own question.
Okay.
Would the police do anything about it?
Oh no.
I mean, if the right person saw it, possibly. Probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a lot of if factors.
Yeah.
Maybe she parks too far away and there's no windows.
So she's kidnapped and taken out into the desert, and then threatened. Does she?
She probably has a bag over her head and everything.
Yes. Does she have the SD card?
No way.
No.
If she was smart enough to go through all of this, she'd have stashed it somewhere. But where?
We could be super cliffhangery, and she's like, "You'll never find it," and then they're like, "Yeah, we'll find it," and they just leave her, and then it's the end.
I feel like that would be unsatisfying, though.
It would be,
In a
and we're not
bad
supposed
way.
to be talking either.
Yeah. I like the idea of them just leaving her in the desert.
Oh my gosh, so they could track her through her phone. Like, people have, like, Find My iPhone or, like, through Snapchat, and she forgot to, like, turn it off for her ex.
Yeah.
Because you can turn it off and on for people.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't have the SD card.
But where is it?
What if she destroyed it?
What would she tell them, though? The Smiths. Would she be like, oh, I hid it over here, go find it? Or would she be cocky enough to say, oh, I destroyed it? And would they kill her for it?
I feel like they would. But I don't want her to die.
I mean, I'd be okay with her dying, actually.
That would be an interesting ending that people wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
So it would like end with her like lying dead in the desert. And then like we go and then we follow the Smiths and then they get there and they discover like crushed up pieces of plastic or something with "ha ha" written in a note in the back.
I like that, actually. She dies, but she still gets the...
Yeah, she still wins.
Yeah.
And like when they get there, then like we hear sirens wailing in the background. Kidnapped, taken out into the desert, threatened. Does she have the SD card? No, they kill her.
Now, how to convey all that without dialogue. How does the boyfriend feel about all of this? Does he hate her? Does he still love her? Did he make a mistake and regrets it? Or does he want her dead too?
Maybe they coerced him into using his Find My iPhone. I feel like it would be extreme for him to actually want her to be dead.
Yeah.
And especially because he's not necessarily directly involved in all their sus activity.
Yeah. So he broke up with her, why? Did he cheat on her?
I feel like that's too cliche. Something like realistic that happens, but it's still really sad.
Like what?
I'm thinking. Haven't exactly been through a lot of breakups.
Neither have I.
I broke up with Mario for 30 minutes one time. Which is so stupid when I think of it.
Yeah.
But that literally happened. It was very, very upsetting for both of us.
Can I ask why?
I'll tell you off the record.
Okay.
Or what if like one of them was going to college and didn't want to do long
I
distance?
feel like that's just as cliche as cheating.
That's true.
And moments like
The
that.
boyfriend broke up with her because of reasons.
Reasons.
But he doesn't hate her. And it's the family coercing him to track her, etc.
What if Isabel's a psychopath? and he broke up with her because of that, and she does the whole blackmail thing as revenge.
I kind of like that. Yeah. She's very much an anti-hero, but we're rooting for her, which is interesting.
Yeah. I don't want to make her too...
How would we know she's a psychopath, though?
I mean, there are multiple ways we could go about that. None of them come to mind at the moment, but I know there are multiple ways.
Okay.
It could be like she doesn't have essentially emotions. And so she's in this relationship, but it's either it's purely physical or it's a convenience for her to just have a person type of thing rather than she actually like loves him. And he's like, well, I love you. Why won't you love me back? And she's like, I can't. So it could be something like that. Or it could be she's like legitimately insane and does taxidermy or something. Not that taxidermy's bad. Like, I just mean like she kidnaps stray cats and does it in her bathroom type thing.
I don't want to go there. Too hard to film. What if she's a psychopath and she is incapable of love and therefore the relationship didn't work out? But she's controlling and vengeful. Because psychopath.
She's the villain.
Yeah.
So really we should be rooting for the boyfriend. Because he's just like, I just
He's
wanted
just
to
a guy.
love her.
He's just a guy. He just wanted to find true love and it didn't work. And then...
And now
But he's also stuck in the middle between his crazy ex-girlfriend
and his crazy family.
His crazy family.
Ugh,
Man.
poor guy.
Yeah.
He needs a cool name. We don't have to come up with it now. But anyways, yeah, I think we've got a pretty solid, decent something.
Yeah. Oh, we've got to have some closure for him. He has to have some sort of a happy ending.
Maybe he's there when they kidnap her and take her to the desert. He's there and he stops her from being killed. But they still leave her in the desert, like tied up and stuff. And so it's like this moment for him of like, I don't want to see her die, but I'm also not willing to just let her go. And so...
I like her dying, though.
Well, it's implied that she died. She's tied up in the middle of the desert.
I guess.
Ooh, and he could go to her house because, you know, the family's like, well, you know her. Where would she hide the SD card? And he finds it and finds the note and he just smiles or something. I don't know. Would that be too weird?
Well, would he go to prison, too? Well, I mean, he left somebody to die, so probably he would.
How does anyone know that she was left to die?
I don't know. I mean...
I feel like that's something like they would have taken her to a spot that no one else would have been able to see or know about. And so they would find her body like months later or years later or never type of thing.
Wow. Yeah, that's fair.
I picture lots of drone shots in this.
Ooh.
But yes, happy ending for boyfriend.
But he goes to prison.
Why does he go to prison?
As an accomplice.
For what?
Because the Smiths are bad anyways. Like, that's the entire reason why there's a siren.
She didn't go to the police.
Then what are the sirens?
I don't know. Maybe they're just sirens.
And they're just paranoid?
Yeah. And they just like, you know, they're going past the house. It's Yakima. Sirens happen all the time, nonstop, for any number of reasons.
This is true. So there's a happy ending for the boyfriend, and they don't go to jail, but they're now, like, cursed with extra paranoia.
Probably.
Because they know that they killed a person.
They've probably killed people
I know.
before. I mean, most of them would probably be more concerned with, like, her having a backup of the information and sending it out or something like that. But I think for the boyfriend, if we really think about, like, his motivations and all this, his ex-girlfriend is psycho, started blackmailing his family. He wants nothing to do with her or his family, but now he's dragged into this conflict because his association with both. Maybe he's just relieved that, like, the SD card's gone. Maybe he just slips away quietly, moves on with his life, changes his name.
We see him, like, bending his license in half or something. Ruining his ID. I don't know.
We'd have to have a fake ID for that.
Well, he's a part of this family, so...
No, we would have to create a fake ID.
Or we could, like, use one of my old licenses and we just don't show the front. I keep those.
Okay.
It's like a license bend.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a pretty solid outline.
Cool.
Are there any loose ends we ought to tie up
Do
right
you want
now?
to read through it?
That's a lot of reading. Isabel photographing flowers in the hills. Cars are following her home, but she doesn't notice. Exposition. Blackmail. Freaking out over emails. Isabel leaves. The Smiths. I can't take that seriously. The gang breaks down her door, but she's gone. Finding a note. Suspense because we don't know she left yet. I like that one a lot. Yeah,
Cool.
I like it.
Ooh, are we going to have a title? Are we going to figure out a title later?
Eventually, I mean,
Restrictions.
I'm so bad at titles. I've come up with probably like 2 good titles my whole life. Quickly, I should say.
Isabel short film. I'll just call it that.
Well, I think that about wraps up this podcast then too. We just wrote a short film script outline
Yeah,
thing.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on this interesting adventure.
Yeah.
A little peek into our creative process. So exciting.
Yeah, I hope it was. Truly.
It never feels exciting. I mean, it
No,
does,
it doesn't.
but it doesn't.
Yeah, well, I hope it was. All right, until next time.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
I should turn this on silent.
Yeah, I put mine on airplane mode so it like wouldn't start calling and mess up the video.
Okay. All better.